Welcome everybody to Photo Talk Friday on the 12th of February. God, it seems like February just started. We're almost halfway through.
Yeah.
Jeez, amazing. Um, and Sid and I talked last week about doing something about everyday carry. You know, what is it that you go and we're not going to be talking about Glocks or Smith and Wessons. We are talking about everyday carry cameras and stuff like that. Because as you all know, I my everyday carry is an Uzi. It's old, but it's got a big clip and looks good. Anyway, um,
Easy.
and I'm in Arizona. We can carry any damn thing we want here, Bubby. I'll tell you. Uh, so, when I think of everyday carry, I think of two things for me. Sid, is when I go on my motorcycle ride. It's a
Hmm.
different. So I've got little tools and all kinds of stuff. Um, But since I brought it up, I'm going to go first when that gives people ready. One of the things I take with me all the time when I'm out is this guy right here. It's a super duper USB charger.
Hmm.
It's not fancy. It doesn't have a whole lot of anything else on it. Some of those things have like flashlights and, you know, gyroscopes and everything, all that stuff. This just does the deal. It will charge my iPhone 3 times. It'll charge my camera 5 times.
Nice.
So I can use it in multiple outlets. I can have 3 things going at one time because you get into some of these little hotels and things, and they don't have enough plugs in there for anything. And so I'll do this, and then I can charge it on my motorcycle. I've got a USB charger on my bike, so I can stick this and charge it all day and then have it ready at night. But
That's
also
great.
good if you're out doing a lot of video or something and your battery runs dead. Second thing I carry, and I carry this every day, all the time, and I can't remember what rule this is of Gibbs rules, but never go anywhere without a knife.
Hmm.
I always have a knife on me. I got a little Swiss Army knife, but this thing goes on a little thing on my side, and it's very heavy and very, very sharp. And I can cut open anything, even bags of potato chips. They they are they are no match for this bad boy. Um, Little tool case that I carry also has an industrial knife, a tiny little screwdriver for eyeglasses, camera parts, and whatever. A bunch of different sizes go in the screwdriver, and this is an all-purpose. This will break a windshield.
Hmm.
Um, if a window, if you're stuck in the car, break that. It's got a pin inside it. It's got a little light on the end of it. It's very heavy and tactical. I take that with me. That goes on my side.
That's a fancy little case that it comes in.
I know. I saw this
I
on
like that.
Facebook and I thought, oh, I'll get one of those. I'm very happy with it. Fits well on the belt, and so when I have the knife and that on the belt, that's pretty good. I'm on the road. I take this. If I'm not on the road, I take. Oh, I thought I had it. I was zipped and ready to go. I take just this with me. It's a little leather guy,
Hmm.
and inside is my field notes. And I, I I put I take this instead of a wallet because it's in here. So I leave all my everything at home except one credit card and you know my driver's license and stuff. And I take this. This is all I carry with me. I don't like to have the wallet in my butt on a bike. It wrecks your back because
Hmm.
I mean, with all the money I carry around, I'm telling you,
Rolls and rolls and
40
rolls.
G's of hundreds is still thick. You know what I'm saying? So that and for some reason I carry
There you go.
one of those.
God bless you.
And one last thing I carry all the time, second to last. You never know when you're going to have to tune up the snare drum. My everyday carry camera is this little Lumix. It's pretty good stills. Pretty good stills. I'm pleased with the stills. If it's something really detailed or something, I might feel a little bad about the stuff. But very, very nice video. 4K video. Really nice. 60 frames per second, slow motion if I want it. So that's my everyday carry camera. So when I'm on the bike, I have to be sort of self-sufficient. When I'm
Mhm.
around here, a little bit different. How about you? How about you guys? What's your everyday carry camera? What do you never leave the house without?
Who wants to go next? Anybody?
Yeah, anybody.
I'll go.
There.
All right. Go, Mike.
The iPhone
That's
X. I mean, that's it. Really, that's my everyday camera. I mean,
Yep.
if there's something worth taking a shot of, I'd use this. And if I know I'm going out to where there's like family opportunities or something, I'll bring along the Droid, because the Droid's camera just crushes the iPhone. But I mean, the iPhone's fantastic for just everyday whatever. And then my wallet, which has this is cool. See, whoop, there's the cards. You just push a little button. Boop, there you go. That's about it. I mean, I end up with a lot of these in my pocket.
Mhm.
And those are, what are those?
Oh, guitar picks.
Oh, car picks.
Yeah, so I mean, I didn't realize how minimalist I was until I saw what you carried, Todd. I was like, holy crap.
If we're ever out drinking somewhere in Omaha, not only can we furnish the guitar player some picks, I can tune up the drum set.
Right. Exactly. So yeah, that's it. Wallet, iPhone, guitar picks. That's about it.
Well, the iPhone goes with me everywhere too. That's my communication device. Really, it's everything.
You know, the funny thing is I hate that. If I didn't do what I do for a living, I honestly would not carry a smartphone at all.
Yeah.
I would have a dumb flip phone. And this is the bane of my existence on the golf course. Because when this thing goes off, I have to stop whatever I'm doing, even if it's in the middle of an important putt, to check the goddamn thing. I hate my iPhone with a passion.
No, Mike,
I got
have
it.
to do that.
I have a different model than yours. Mine
That's
has
a
an
choice.
off switch.
Well, I can't turn it off because if something happens at work, I'm tech support. I'm the guy that has to fix it. So I don't have that option. That's the problem. That's why I hate it so much, is because I'm tethered to it no matter what. Day and
Slave
night.
to the phone.
So
Remember-
I absolutely,
Remember when we used to go out and not have phones?
yeah.
Wasn't that amazing? Like you would just go from
Awesome.
you were just gone and you couldn't get a phone call until you got home. I miss that.
so much.
That's part of the reason why I flew for a couple of years. You know, I was taking flying lessons because you go up in the plane and I had a built-in excuse. It's like, I can't touch the phone. I can't look at it. So I could throw it in my flight bag and forget about it. It was great. I had 3 hours of no phone. But then I realized how expensive flying was and I just couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah, that's an expensive habit just to get away from your phone. That's-
Exactly.
You know, the phone works as I run a lot of my business off my phone, not my desktop, because my phone's always with me. So it is really like having a nice, powerful computer in your pocket, which is great. Yeah, well, if I had a flip phone, I probably wouldn't have a phone bill because nobody calls me.
Mhm.
Nobody calls me. They text me, they send me emails, they instant message
Spammers.
me, whatever. But phone, that's why I always laugh when the phone rings. It's either a telemarketer, a spam call, or my kids, and they've got their own ring, so I know it's them. So, yep, I'm not married to it. Who else? Who else has something they never leave out with? Never leave without.
Hi there. I'm kind of like Mike. I'm a minimalist. I have my keys. I always carry a flashlight, particularly if I'm out shooting, because I like to catch blue hours, and sometimes I hike far, far away. And there's a couple times where I didn't have a flashlight with me, and I just kept pushing the button on the car to get it to honk so I could figure out my way back. So flashlight seemed kind of practical at that point.
Very good.
And
Yeah.
yeah, my my cell phone, I mostly carry it just if I need Google instructions, and because I go weird places, a lot of times I leave it's a double-edged sword. I leave the tracking on, so if I don't come home, my wife can find me somewhere. But so can everybody else in the world who's full of bad intentions, including the people that call all the time to tell me my car warranty expired. But other than that, if I'm carrying camera gear, I usually carry the whole load, couple tripods and all my bags, because just don't know what I'm going to do. A lot of times I just go out without an idea and just wait for an inspiration. Sometimes I'll just go out with a nifty 50 and say, okay, I'm going to force myself to shoot with this lens and use my feet. And that's been a good experience too. That's about it.
There's a picture in front of every one of us right now. We haven't let our brains reveal it to us because the context isn't what we expect it to be. I really believe that. I bet if one of us went to some other person's office right now, we could say, oh, that's a cool shot. It might be just a detail shot. Well, that's a cool, we'd never see it because we're not in a contextual place where that makes sense to do it right now. And so we're always out. I live in Arizona. I mean, it's a magnificently beautiful state. We've got Grand Canyon, we got the deserts, we got the mountains, all of that stuff. And yet I find it much more preferable for me to go to Colorado or Utah to make photographs. I don't think about it around here, and that's bad. I need to work on that.
A friend who used to teach photography at a high school in Lamar, some little town outside Lamar, Colorado. There was absolutely nothing there. And she said she was just amazed by the photographs the kids came back with, because they didn't go out with the expectation that was nothing there. They just went out with an assignment. They had to come back with something.
Yeah.
And it was quite enlightening for her. And
I was in Halifax, Nova Scotia, and a photographer came to the workshop and he said, the thing I hate about living here is there's no good locations, right? And I'm looking at him like, oh, except for like that one there and over there and over there and right here and on this corner here and down 2 blocks. He didn't see him because that's where he lived.
Yep.
I saw him because I'd never been there before. And it was all exciting for me. Well, that's what you do. You got to turn off those expectations and just let the pictures reveal themselves.
Yep.
Sid, what's your everyday carry, buddy?
So I'm going to do a screen share. I actually plopped everything down on the floor and took a screenshot.
Oh my God.
I know I get into that kind of stuff. Host disabled, participant screen share.
I think I just did.
Okay, there we go. All right. Boom. And share. Okay. All right. So this is my man purse here. So this thing I've had this thing for almost 11 years. It's a goat leather messenger bag, and we were at a Renaissance fair, and there was a guy with a booth, and I just absolutely fell in love with this bag. And long story short, I found out that basically you can get this bag off Amazon for like $35.
Yeah.
And we paid, I don't even want to tell you how much we paid, but I love this bag. It's over the last 10 years, it's just become like buttery smooth, and it's soft, and
it's referred to as markup in the retail business.
Yes.
Markup.
Yes. Yeah. It was significant markup.
Nice.
This is what I carry with me every single day. So inside it, I've got a little Peak Design camera strap that it fits like a seat belt, like it's really big and thick, and then it's got those little tiny doohickey things that attach to it. I keep lens wipes at all times for my glasses and for my lenses. I keep a bandana just because I'm a very sweaty guy, so I like to perspire a lot. My carry-around camera, I have a little Fuji X100 F. I just upgraded to the F last year. I love that thing. I used to be one of these guys where my wife would be like, let's go away on vacation, or let's go away for the week. And I'd have a trunk full of equipment. And then we'd go somewhere and there'd be this great thing. And I'm like, hold on a second. And I would break out the lights and I'd break out the stands and blah, 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 blah. Meanwhile, my wife is just like, you know what? Moment lost. So I had to learn to I wanted to spend more time holding my wife's hand than setting up camera equipment. So I picked up one of those little Fuji X100s a long time ago, and I love it. I absolutely love it. So I keep that in my bag at all times. That thing is always on me. And I've been using it a lot. Like I do a magazine assignment every year for a big glossy magazine. And I would say 75% of the work that gets published in that magazine is stuff that I've shot with the X100. So it's a totally capable little camera. I love it. It's fantastic. And I love that it's got a little fixed lens. So it makes me move around for compositions and stuff
The
like
35, right?
that.
35
Yes,
millimeter.
it's a 35 or a 28. It's like it's I think it's equivalent to a 35. I don't know what the crop factor crap and all that stuff. I think it's a 28, but it acts like a 35.
Okay.
So that's my little camera. And then underneath it, I always carry a Leatherman with me just in case something breaks. And I have a little folding pocket knife. I have a little mini LED flashlight. Actually, I have two. I have one that I keep in this bag, and I have one that's hanging up near all my camera bags. And then depending on what bag I use for what job, I always take that and I just throw it in there because you never know when you're gonna need a flashlight for something. And then this little doohickey here, I just started carrying around. It's a little portable LED thing that I got through Amazon. It's a little Falcon Eyes something or other light, and it's pretty bright. And then it's got a bunch of little gimmicky things, like it mimics a police blue and red light flashing, and it will mimic like a television, like the flicker on a TV and stuff like that. So I'm still playing around with that, but I figured when I'm using the X100, I shoot a lot of natural light, so I just wanted something where if I need a little bit of a little kiss of fill, I've
Sure.
got something there. And then I've got extra cords for my iPod. I've got a little wall outlet that has it's a two USB. So if I need to charge my phone and my iPod or my phone and something else, I have that. I have a little tiny lens cleaner, a little fabricy lens cleaner that folds up on itself. And then I carry around a shit, I just forgot what it's called. The little square dongle, so that if I'm around somebody that can only pay by a credit card, I can swipe the credit card with my square thing, and then it just goes right through
Oh,
that.
yeah.
So,
Okay.
so I always keep that on me in case every once in a while I run into somebody that, they're just like, can you take a charge card? I'm like, yep. And then I just have extra cords and things for phones and iPods and crap like that. And then I always carry some sort of marketing thing with me, business cards, brochures, pamphlets. If the minute they ask what I do, or if we happen to mention I'm a photographer, I just throw stuff right in their hands. And then more headbands because I sweat a lot. So that's it. And that's everything that I carry around with me day to day today.
Very nice.
Yes. All right. Let me stop.
Very nice.
Oh, hold on.
I used to carry a messenger bag and I stopped because I bought a Nomadic, Nomadic. Apparently they're very hip. It's just terrible. It's just a terrible bag.
Huh.
I'm very unhappy with it. But I just got one that is a workstation. So when you set it down, it comes out like wings. So you got your
Oh.
laptop in the middle, and then you've got all your pens and paper and everything on both sides. And I'm going to pack that up as my go-to bag as well. Because whenever I go on location, I end up, with my laptop and my paper and a lot of pencils,
Mhm.
sharpener, and stuff. I love pencils. I love pencils. Who else?
My everyday carry is boring. It's just a cell phone, an older Android Galaxy. I need to get a new phone. I'm gonna get the 21 probably next month, but that's what I have as an everyday. And then actually there was a picture that somebody had put up where it was the geese coming into the cove. I don't remember who it was. It was like snowy and foggy, and was that you, David? Yeah. And so I've actually started taking my camera with me after I saw that. I started taking my camera and I got the Nikon D610. So I take that with a 70-300 when I'm working now. So that way, if I do come across something, I have it, because, that was a beautiful picture. And he said it was just a matter of having the camera on him when he saw it. And I see a bunch of different areas. Sometimes I get out in the country and see different things, and I never have it. So
Yeah, I drive through Pueblo Reservoir on the days I go to work. I only work part-time at a library, and I leave myself time in the mornings when they're beautiful mornings to commute, and I pulled over at my favorite spot, and it's like, okay, I can do this. Yeah, it's good to carry a camera. I haven't as much lately. I'm getting, my shoulders are tired.
Where's the Pueblo Reservoir? Where?
That's in, well, if you're in Pueblo, Colorado, and you head a little bit west, and actually if you head off towards West Cliff from Pueblo, it runs parallel to West Cliff.
Okay.
Are you familiar with Pueblo at all?
You know, it's a part of Colorado that I haven't visited. I really want to get over there. Maybe go heart of the state and then down into Pueblo. It's warm in the summer, and I try to get out of the heat in the summer. I mean, I don't want to go anywhere where it's always hot, where it's hot like it is here. So
yeah, our temperatures range from, I think when my brother was a kid, it was minus 32, and the highs are 110, something like that throughout the year. So, but it's high desert. There's not a lot of moisture, so the sky's usually clear. And we get some incredible clouds.
yeah, it's a beautiful area. I know that. I definitely want to get over there. Anybody carry anything besides an iPhone? Anybody crazy like Sid? Semi crazy like me?
A little bit.
Lay it on us.
That was Terry. Can I share a picture somehow?
You sure can. Just share your screen.
Share my screen. Oh, okay, this one. Oh, you went away.
Yep.
There it is.
Did it show up?
Yep.
Yeah.
Look
Oh,
at all that.
oh, okay. So I have a terrible back and it refuses to carry backpacks. So I have a little fanny pack by Eagle Creek, a little padded one.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it can only fit so much stuff in it. And I have a D700, and this is my 1735, must have been out with me that day. And so I carry some filters up here. And can you see my cursor? When it, okay,
Yep.
the little film canister, you could put a plastic bag in for a trash bag.
Mm-hmm.
And geocaching, they use those so you can, on your adventures, you can pick up trash you find.
Yep.
But this big plastic bag underneath here is for when I'm out in cold, wet, rainy, snowy weather. And if it's cold weather, your camera gets cold and you bring it back into your car or your house or somewhere and the condensation gets all over it. If you put it in this big baggie, the condensation gets on the bag and not on your camera.
Oh, nice.
So that's easy enough to roll up really teeny and stick in a corner of the bag. Extra batteries. How many times have I been out in the woods taking pictures and my battery runs out? So I always have an extra battery and a little notebook, especially at car shows because I can never remember what they are, and a pen, a little flashlight, a few ibuprofen and such things in a little container, a little lip gel.
You got a lot of stuff in a little area there.
I do because the camera and the lens take up the main part, and there's two pockets here that all this other stuff fits in. But for me, especially this big, huge zip tie or Ziploc, very super handy. And this little guy, because he's really easy just to stick a grocery plastic bag in. And, like if I'm at the beach and I find treasures.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what I put in mine. I
Very
probably
cool.
don't have the Koken filters lately. Oh yeah, my tripod base.
Mm-hmm.
Because my tripod's usually in the car and my back won't let me carry it around. So,
Mm-hmm.
but I keep that just in case. So that's my little bag.
That's
Well,
awesome.
it's really compact and great.
hmm I tried to think of, and in my purse, I have a work bag that I carry, and it has kind of first aid stuff in it. So that's in my, if I'm in my car, that's in my car somewhere. So cool. Just thought I'd share some odd, and I like the idea of like I said, of this big plastic bag, because I shoot in weird conditions. I have lenses that don't like me because they've gotten wet so many times.
How long does it usually take to get the condensate? Like when you come in from the cold, how long does it usually have to stay in the bag before you can take it out again?
I don't know, maybe 20 minutes or something. It's till the temperatures equilibrate.
Okay.
So if I'm out in 5 degrees even though it's nice dry and stuff, as soon as I get in the car, it's going to start condensing. So
Mhm.
maybe 20, 30 minutes.
Hmm.
If I would just wait till it felt room temperature again.
I have that same problem happens when it's really hot and humid too, or
Yep.
here in Arizona when it's 110 outside and you walk into a hotel that's, running about 70 degrees.
Yep.
And your camera's just fog over. My biggest fear is getting the fog inside the lens.
Yes.
On the outside of the lens, you can wipe it off, but if it fogs inside, oh man,
Mhm.
it takes forever.
Yeah.
to
And
get
see,
it.
if I was traveling or shooting and had 2 lenses with me, the extra lens would be in a bag. Just to make sure that that didn't happen. So cool. I'm not usually at my computer when you have your talks, but I am today. So I thought I would interject.
I'm glad you did.
Yeah.
I always enjoy your talks. Okay. Thanks.
Thank you. Look at Sam's little cat buddy.
Mhm. He's a
Hello.
big fat cat.
Yeah.
So I have a comment on this subject. It's kind of a bit different to everybody else. I live in the Bay Area. I'm absolutely too terrified to take my camera out. I mean, this is my iPhone. I don't carry a purse.
Oh,
This is my iPhone, which is attached to me.
that's
You
cool.
know, I have this over my shoulder, so it's like a sling, and then I hide it in a pocket. That is my purse. That has my credit cards, my phone, and if I'm going out, I put a key on here as my front door key as well.
Hmm.
So the other day, some photographers in San Francisco were shooting in a park, some kind of wedding or not wedding, family photos or something. Their car got followed, and as they were getting on the Bay Bridge and they were stopped in the traffic, the car behind them came up, opened their trunk, and stole their camera
Oh,
gear out of the
no.
trunk
Smashed
because
the
they
back
had
window.
seen them put the gear in the car.
Oh,
So this is how bad it's got. I don't actually go out much anymore these days because of the pandemic. So I mostly shoot at home, and I'm a conceptual photographer. So I'm not so much going out doing just photographing what I find. But I do enjoy that. I used to enjoy going on photo walks with friends. But it's just got really bad here, and I would actually be scared to carry my gear. And in the past, when I used to shoot a lot of protests going back, not last year, but this was more around 2016. I used to hide my camera. I used to go out with my 70-200 on my Canon. I would carry a shopping bag in a sling, so it looked completely like nondescript, like I was just going shopping. And I would hide my lens in there, my camera in there, and just pull it out to take the pictures and put it back in, because I would also be taking public transport to these things. And then a few gigs that I would get like in the city doing events and that kind of stuff. I do have like a wheelie bag. It's like travel, like as if you're going on an airplane, but it is actually a photography bag. So I just put all my gear in there. If my tripod was sticking out, I would wrap it in a plastic bag with rubber bands so it looked like something a homeless person would carry. And then I would get on the public transport with that and just like walk as if I'm just like not a photographer, I'm just like a person with this bag I'm carrying. So I'd always be playing down what I'm carrying and trying to hide it and disguise it and not make it look like I'm a photographer, which sounds really, really sad, right? You're all in these other environments where you can just go out with your camera, and to me, that's just like an alien concept. Why do I live here? I wonder.
that's crazy.
It is. That's just crazy.
A friend asked why my bags are always black, and I said because I can put them on the floor behind my seat and they look like shadows, where she has all these big beautiful Guatemalan woven things, and I'm like, yeah, but if I put it in the back seat, somebody's going to see it and know it's a camera. So all my camera gear is in black bags.
It's crazy. That's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, I saw a video of that, what you were talking about, Sam, and it was wild because the car was not stopped for any length of time. Like the car was stopped for maybe 2-3 seconds before somebody got out. What they did is it was a hatchback, and they bashed the window open and grabbed the bag, and they were in their car and off in another direction. And the whole entire event took, I don't know, less than 10 seconds.
That's crazy.
I mean, it was ridiculous.
And they'd put all that effort into doing this without even knowing what, I guess the car that was following, they didn't know when they were going to get that opportunity. And the car was just they were just shunting in traffic to get onto the Bay Bridge. So it's sort of stop and go. And they really got them at the last minute before they would have been on the bridge. And then they probably wouldn't have been able to follow them anymore. Yeah, the whole photography community here, you know, the Facebook group I'm in locally was pretty shocked about that. And, you know, that everyone's talking about getting security. Bigger shoots, they all hire security for shoots in San Francisco and the Bay Area now.
Wow, that's crazy. That's nuts.
I should probably worry more about that. I haven't, but I don't carry my camera every day. I don't leave it in my car every day. I have a Peak Design messenger bag that I love because it can get smaller, big, and it doesn't look, you know, it doesn't look particularly like necessarily a camera bag, but it would, you know, look like a computer bag or anything else. So if I'm carrying that around, then I'm probably a target, but not as badly as, I don't know, a super obvious one. And now that I'm trying to become more of a, you know, a portrait lifestyle photographer, I used to be shooting all wildlife and action, and I probably used my 100 to 400 more than any other lens, but now, and particularly because of the possibility of, you know, being jacked, I will probably leave that 100, 400 behind more often than not. But the two lenses that I carry with me are, you know, a 24 to 105 and that one. And if I'm going for anything where I think there's a possibility of grabbing a better shot, or if I'm actually out shooting, then it's those two things in the bag, and then, you know, a mixture of, like everybody else has shown. Have a pocket knife or a Leatherman. Have, you know, whatever meds you think you might want to have. I always have a snack in there, you know, some amount of sugar, energy stuff, but nothing different than anybody else. And when I'm just out and about, it's just the iPhone, the wallet, the keys. I don't like carrying stuff, so I'm no different.
Well, it's interesting what Sam said, because, you know, I'm out in the West where we don't worry about that as much, because it's probably in parts of Phoenix I would worry about it. But when I'm out on the road, one of the scariest things that I do when I'm on the road is if I want to get off the bike and hike up into the woods, I take my cameras with me.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I'm in the woods, I do worry that someone's going to pull right up. I mean, it's just a backpack, basically zip tied onto the back of a motorcycle. Take a knife and rip through it and take anything out of it that you want. So I can't be free if I go to downtown Durango and I park the motorcycle. If I don't have a hotel to put everything in, I don't feel like I can go and walk around Durango for 3 hours and leave my bike sitting there, because even in Durango, Colorado, or Telluride or something like that, it does not mean that you're immune from somebody deciding to take your stuff. And that's worrisome to me. I love to go by myself to make photographs, but it has been a concern lately, Sam, here in Phoenix. And, you know, I don't think I would do it in LA anymore.
I think the pandemic has made a lot more people, you know, become more desperate. So I think that is, you know, that impacts the situation on top of, I mean, here it was already bad before the pandemic, but it seems to have gotten particularly bad now.
Yep.
You know, it's interesting that you're talking about that, because I had an accident the week before Christmas, and I got a new vehicle. And when I did the tags on my new vehicle, this is the tag that I had on my Jeep, and I got a regular tag now. And I instead of my personalized tag, because I told my wife, I was like, I feel like I'm driving around in a Target.
You're just advertising.
Yeah, especially doing the road trips that I like to do, because in an SUV, I just fold down the back seats. And like when I went to Maine, I slept in the back of the Jeep, and now I got a Subaru Forester. So I'm planning on doing more trips where I fold down the seats, and that's my, little camping thing. And I told her, I was like, I'm just getting a regular license plate instead of the personalized tag, because it's just advertising it too much. I just didn't feel comfortable with it.
I've never had a studio that had a sign on it, by the way.
Yeah.
I've had 7 studios in my career, 7 studios. I've never had a sign, Don Giannetti Photography. There was a number on the door. And that's it. I mean, if you put a sign up on the door of your studio and you leave gear there, I don't care what you do, it's temporary.
Yeah.
Someone's
Yeah.
got-
I had an instance, the original building I was in, it was the beginning of 2016. I had moved from a really small space on the bottom floor to a larger space on the top floor. And we used to do open studios and stuff like that. And we had it was a 2-day open house. The whole building did an open house and people were coming in and out. And we left that Sunday and we drove down to Connecticut to see some friends. And I had a little bag of gear with me. And I came back Monday morning. And I think what had happened was somebody came in during the open house and was like, "Oh, this is cool, photo equipment." And they had gotten through 2 doors. What they did was they cut out we had a plastic, instead of a glass window, we had a piece of plastic in a shared bathroom, and they had cut through the plastic, climbed through the bathroom, came out into my hallway, and then they had brought a jigsaw with them and they just cut right through my deadbolts. But the weird thing was they spent all that time doing that and they didn't take the expensive stuff. They only took stuff that had like Canon written on it, but there was other lenses right next to the Canon ones, but they didn't take those because they weren't branded with that. I had all my lights set up and they didn't take any of the lights. I had left the checkbook out and they didn't take the checkbook. So in the long run, they grabbed the light meter and they grabbed a couple of lenses. They grabbed an old point and shoot camera and they grabbed a Canon branded bag. But they left all the, like it was weird. So I think, like somebody poked in and they kind of eyeballed it really quickly. And then when they figured I was gone, but I mean, luckily I've got insurance. And so they just replaced my tools for me. But that was, I hate that when you you turn around a corner and somebody has like invaded your stuff.
Oh God.
It's just like, oh,
That's why I moved back from LA. I mean, I got ripped off. The studio was ripped off and
yeah.
I just packed, I looked at my wife, said, I don't want to be here anymore. And
Yeah.
I was mad and hurt. I remember saying to the cops, I said, what do you, well, this stuff, can I, think this stuff's going to get back to me? Cop laughed at me.
Yeah.
Literally laughed. He said, it's not even in California anymore. This stuff is trafficked fast. And that was 1981, 82, something like that.
Were you insured? I mean, you got replacements for everything?
I was somewhat insured, but no, I was underinsured. So I had what was in my car. I had my Nikons. I had my Dynalights, couple of C-stands, that type of stuff. Well, I was in Santa Barbara doing a shoot. So we're on that shoot, my Polaroid camera, all that stuff. But big cameras were gone. I mean, they literally cleaned it out, including taking this was back before cell phones. And we had an actual phone on the wall. I know it's hard to believe, right? But you would go over to it and hold the receiver and dial anyway. But they took the phone off the wall.
They stole your phone.
They stole the phone because there was if you turn the phone in at Ma Bell, you got $25 for turning the phone in. So
Oh my God.
I guess they didn't ask questions.
That's crazy.
Crazy stuff. Sam, that hurts my heart. That hurts my heart.
I mean, for me, actually, I have still on my Canon 5D Mark IIIs, so they're pretty old by now. So if anyone stole them, they would just they're not really worth stealing. I guess the lenses are.
Well, they're not stealing for photography. They're going to just take them down and pawn them for cash and buy drugs. Because if you're a photographer and you take that thing to get repaired somewhere, you're going to get caught.
Mm-hmm.
I would
actually I would like to go out into my community and take pictures of people.
I know.
But get to know the neighbors, maybe like, but it's just, I just don't live in the right neighborhood.
I hate that. I hate stolen stuff. My studio is downtown on McDowell Road, and a gentleman came in. We weren't too far from the airport. Gentleman came in, and he had a kind of a suit and a loose tie on, but upon closer inspection, it was a bad suit. Didn't fit him and anything. But he had a Hasselblad case. He had a Halliburton. He opened it up. It was 2 Hassies, 2 backs, 4 lenses, and a Polaroid back, all in the foam. And he said, yeah, he said, my brother died, and he left me these cameras, and I'm trying to, see if they're worth anything. And I said, yeah, those are nice cameras. He said, I take 500. I said, well, okay, I'm going to send my assistant off to get $500. So why don't you just hang here? I went in the dark room and I called the cops. I figure if I was wrong, I'd have to say, I'm sorry.
Yep.
Cops showed up. It was a Time Life photographer. It was stolen right from the airport about an hour before the guy got to me. I was the second place. The other people called the cops, but he'd already left. I kept him there because I sent my assistant out. I said, just, go get some tacos and I'm going to take care of this guy. The cops showed up and this guy he just burst out. I'm sorry, I did it. He's like, photographer gave me $25. I thought that was cool because back then $25 to take you and the wife go off for dinner. I didn't take his money, but he was absolutely grateful as hell. I could never shoot with stolen equipment. I couldn't put it up to my face. I can't. I mean, it's just.
Don, we haven't asked our #1 traveling photographer that's always in the car if she's got a camera with her today.
I don't think she ever leaves the house without an Airy. That's what I've heard.
No, I don't. No, I don't. I always have my camera. I have Derek's camera. And Derek is the one who carries everything, including coffee. We never go out without coffee. There's at least 2 thermos of coffee every time. No matter what, no coffee, no deal.
So it's got to be like 0 degrees and she's still out driving around.
Oh my God, it is freezing.
I imagine it is.
What is the temperature today? It is freezing, it really is. We're 19 degrees, 20 degrees. It's nice. We have about 80 inches of snow 2 days ago. So finally the roads are clean, but you have a bunch of like this of snow. So it's no fun going outside.
I want to ask Hawaii's newest and most wonderful resident. What's it like over in Hawaii there, Virginia?
I can turn my computer around so you can see I have one window looks that way at a bamboo clump. And the other window.
It's a technical term.
Yeah. Oh, you can't see because it's too bright. But that window, oh yeah, it'll come into focus. That window looks out at a bamboo grove and clouds. But it's too bright, so you can't see.
Ah, nice.
So yeah, I have trying to figure out what I'm going to carry. If I go to tourist areas, I can get my stuff stolen. I'm having I always took film, like when I went to LA like last year, year before, I always took a film camera and I felt safer because it was so big I could hit someone with it if they tried to take it. Because I have a Pentax 645 and then you put a lens on it.
Nobody, you know what? If you go out with a camera like that, no one's going to steal it because no one wants an old camera.
Yeah, the only thing it attracts is other photographers.
Yeah, other photographers might come over.
They come sniffing around. They're just like, what is that? Can I touch that?
My favorite question is, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What do you shoot with?
I'm going to
go. Especially if they hear it. The Hasselblad, when I had the Hasselblad, I sold it. They hear it. Even street people want to know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
The clop.
And
the clop.
Yeah. But I'm getting repaired a Nikonos 5 is in the shop just to have new O-rings, make sure it's running good. And because it's an underwater camera, it'll shoot in, if I take it to the beach or the ocean. On my side of the island, there's not much beaches. It's the lava volcanic side. And Hawaii is the newest island in the chain, so it doesn't have a lot of sandy beaches like the other side.
If I remember right, the Nikonos comes with a hard built-in 35 millimeter lens underwater, but when you're out of water, it goes to, it's like a 50 or a 28. I can't remember. It either goes a little bit longer because it's designed for the distortion of the water.
Yeah.
Does it get wider on land or
I think it's 50 on land and wider in the water because it magnifies in the water. Or anyway, yeah.
I remember it wasn't the same.
Because I read about it yesterday. Because if I'm going to carry it around, I'm just gonna just use that.
I had one.
I may
for 2
do
years. I never
trips.
used it.
Yeah, I'll probably use mine. My daughter's excited to use it, but I just got a new camera. If I do field trips, I got a new camera to make myself feel better, but I haven't touched it. So maybe today. I got myself a Pentax 645Z.
That's nice. That's a nice
I'll
camera.
only-
Great glass.
Yeah.
Awesome glass. Great camera.
So, and I can use the older lenses I have on it because I have a Pentax 645 N2 for film. So, but I sold most of my cameras or gave them away. So I only have 3 now. 4 with the Nikonos.
Yeah, cool. Very cool. Yeah, we used to go out with all that gear, and now, yeah, that story, Sam, is scary. I mean, it makes me really rethink doing a lot of things.
Yeah, I think if I had that, I'd probably, like my Pentax, the N2, I had kept the old one because it's wiped out and I have a piece of tape. So I think I'd probably just use that if I was, because you only lose, with film cameras, you only lose the roll of film in the camera if they take the camera.
Right.
I mean, you don't want to lose the camera, but it would be kind of scary. But then, like for me, going to cities, we've always traveled in cities and I hate to not be able to take pictures.
Yep. That's cool. That's very cool. Who else? How about Stephanie? What's your everyday carry, Steph?
Well, mine would just be my EOS R with the 35, the fixed 35. It's super light, easy to use, really small. So that's my favorite.
What camera did you say it was? What's the body?
The R, the EOS R. Yeah, because it's super light, small and lightweight. So I really like that. And I know you guys were on the topic of having things stolen. That's one of my top to-do items is try and figure out an insurance on all my gear, because I've looked at a couple different things, and if the gear's stolen at your studio or at your home, they'll cover it. But if you're out on location, they won't.
Nope.
And so I'm trying to find something that goes with me. Like if I take all my $10,000, whatever, of all this stuff, and I'm out on some random location and it gets stolen, that they'll cover it. So
I had all my stuff covered on location and in the studio by American Family.
Okay.
The business side, they did that, but that was a number of years ago.
I use Allstate, and there's a guy I can't remember his name, but I put a link in the community. He's a photographer, and he actually insures through Allstate. He insures Howard Burkholz, his name is, a lot of photographers through that, and it's complete professional photography coverage wherever you are.
Yeah.
And if you need a special permit, you need a certificate of insurance, because you're shooting in a certain place, he'll provide that for you as well. And it's pretty reasonably priced. I think I pay around $600 a year.
Yeah, it's good. I never thought that I was being gouged. I always thought it was, for what could have happened. I mean, imagine a Nikon F3 with a 180 millimeter lens on it and a motor, because those were separate in time. You're looking about, even in those days, you're still at about $1,600 that someone can pick up and walk away with. The insurance I had was they replaced the camera or an equivalent of the camera. We weren't going to get into, well, the camera was 2 years old, so we'll only give you this much for it. That's cheaper, much cheaper insurance, but then you got to haggle, and it takes longer. This is basically, and the other thing, by the way, if you buy it through American Express has, I believe it's a 1 year total replacement is built into your American Express. We had a young lady come to the workshop in Florida, and on her way to the workshop in Bradenton, she stopped at the camera store and bought 2 Nikon flashes. And as she was taking them out of the box on the pier, she dropped them both in the ocean. She never even got a chance to put batteries in them. And that was just, we were all just like, oh no, it feels, and she was terrible. And then one of the guys said, well, how'd you buy them? She goes, I bought them American Express. He said, give him a call. She gave him a call, and he said, yeah, no problem, go get 2 more. That was it. Not a problem, go get 2 more. It's like, we did rescue them from the shallow salt water of the Atlantic Ocean, and we laid them out to dry. We were in stage 2 denial. No, there's nothing wrong with them. They only fell in the ocean. They'll dry out fine. Yeah, no.
But all my stuff fits in one little backpack, and I just think it'd be so easy for a person just to pick it up, throw it over their shoulder, and man, I'd be sorry.
Yeah.
I just carry a personal property rider for 100% replacement on my stuff through the homeowner's insurance. And supposedly it covers apparently on location, because I dropped the lens and chipped the front of the lens. And
but you're not a pro though, right, David?
No, I'm just
once you become a pro, that's over. If you're if you're a homeowner and you're a hobbyist, you can get the whole rider on your homeowner insurance. But the moment you start making money at it, and there's a limit, I think it's $3,500 a year or something, wherever it is that the IRS kicks in and says, now you have to have a business permit because of the money you made. If you just make it as a hobbyist, it won't matter. But there's that stipulation.
Boy, I'm so glad I'm not good enough to be pro yet.
Well, the thing is, there's a lot of people who are photographers who do not make the bulk of their money from photography. For instance, me. I'm retired from going to the studio and make photographs. I do this teaching thing because it's fun for me. I'm really not a pro photographer. So my cameras are, and I explained it to my insurance guy. So I'm not trying to cheat anybody. He said, no, he says, the bulk of your money comes from teaching photography. Your camera gear is covered under your homeowner's rider. It is a rider. I've got to itemize it, but it's covered under that. But if I start doing jobs again, if I start doing gigs, if I do one gig that pays more than like $3,000 or $4,000, then I'm going to be, in trouble. Kind of like, do I drop the insurance because I did one gig, or do I have to wait a year for it to get back? It's just crazy. So you cross that threshold and it's a nightmare. Well, okay.
I know we had talked about sharing photos.
Yeah.
I have a couple photos that are queued up, and it also gave me an idea when I was working on this. Let me share my screen. I had an idea when I was looking at this picture here that, we talk about doing stuff for people for free. And I thought maybe I cropped this to 16 by 9. This is in the Badlands, South Dakota.
Mhm.
And taking some pictures that would be good for this type of crop, and it's a perfect screensaver or a desktop, whatever the hell you call it, the
Yeah.
desktop screen. So maybe putting, I mean, we don't typically watermark stuff, but what did you think of having like the Mark Lund Jr. Photography or somebody putting like their photography website down in the bottom corner?
Yeah, absolutely. We did that. There was a online magazine called Smashing Magazine,
Mm-hmm.
and people would send in designs for what do you call it, desktops, I guess.
Yeah.
And I had 6 over the period of 3 years. I had 6 of them chosen to be in the freebie group. And what we did was we put calendars on them. There'd be
That'd
certainly
be
not be nothing wrong. There'd be nothing wrong with you creating a set of these things with calendars on them
That'd
already
be
on your
great.
desktop. You got this nice calendar, and giving them away, Mark.
Yeah, that
Great
'cause
idea.
I can do a link on my website or a page on my website that's not a public, but when I send out an email, I can put a little thing on the email of like, if you'd also like some screen, desktop images,
Yep.
or kind of give them something to go there for. So I like this. I like the way that the road kind of curves through it and then kind of goes to the mountain, so you don't go off the left-hand side of the screen with the road, because the mountains are kind of like, and then the mountain on the right. So this place, if you haven't been there, and I know you've been up there, Don, but people that haven't been
No, I
there-
have not. No, I have not.
No?
No, I have. I have 3 states left on my thing: North Dakota, South Dakota, and Alabama.
Here's another one that
Well, and Hawaii and Alaska, but
it's so vast. Like, it's funny because you go on the other side of the Badlands and it's all prairie area where the bison are walking around and stuff, but on the eastern side it's this type of I don't even know what you call this, rocks and mountains. This right here is a person that went way out there. He was taking a photo, and that's just
wow.
it's so vast. And when you're out there in the summertime, you can feel the heat coming up off the rocks and everything.
Yeah, I'm
Just
pretty
thought
familiar with that.
some pictures like this might be nice. There's enough space like over here in the corner with the calendar like you were talking about, or I was just thinking my logo, but no, a calendar would be great. And then bighorn sheep that I got. This one I didn't crop to do the desktop with, but I could. I have enough space around it. And then this is just another one just to give kind of perspective of how big it is. My wife's standing there and it just goes out for forever.
Let me, since we're doing that, so I'm going to share a couple of pictures real quick here. Thank you, Mark.
You're welcome.
I'm going to share 2 shots. One is this. This is an area just east of Sheep Springs, New Mexico, which is on the road that goes from Gallup up to Shiprock. And all around us is farmland. And you come up on a little hill, and this covers about 5 square miles of absolute badlands on both sides of the road. The road's on a little ridge, you got on both sides. And you're there for about a mile. You cut through for about a mile, and then it's over. And it's the weirdest feeling because it's so bizarre. It's just so bizarre. That land is crazy. But I love it. I stop every time I go. This is a panoramic taken with the tilt shift 35, shifted 3 times. If you've ever heard of Shiprock, that's Shiprock right there. It's just, this is all reservation. There's no signs, but there's nobody around. I wouldn't want to go hiking out there. In the summertime, it's very hot. In the wintertime, it's very cold. I wouldn't want to go hiking out there because it's private property. But I want to go back and at least get up to the fence line with my big camera and get some shots because it's just so interesting. If there's a sky, if there's not a sky, if there's no clouds, you just don't have it. It's just not the shot, you know. But these little badlands area, when you first put that picture up, Mark, the first thing I thought of was an area right outside of oh shoot, it's a little Utah town right on the border of Utah and Colorado, and I can't think of the name of it. I will real quick. Who else wants to show a picture?
Mike raised his hand.
I got one.
I
I got one because you guys helped me get out of my funk, so I might as well share the funk breaker, or I call it rebirth. There we go. So this is when I left sitting on the sitting in the studio for a month and a half. Just figured it was just gonna die, you know, and it did, but it came back. And this is what I got where it came back, and it came back bigger than it started, which just blew my mind. But you know, you got the dead plant here, and you got the living one, and this is completely unretouched. This is pretty much how the plate looks. It is overexposed on the flowers there, and that was not really overexposure, but overdeveloping. I mean, after a month and a half, I forgot what it looks like when the plate develops. So I just kept letting it burn in, you know. So yeah, that's rebirth.
It's very nice, man.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Thank you.
Really nice.
Anybody else? I'm gonna go if nobody else wants to go.
Go, man. Let's
Okay,
see.
I'm gonna do another share. So this was let me click on this and let me click on this. I'm still getting the hang of Zoom. Share. Okay. So a year ago, right before COVID started, I had worked with a musician on images for an album cover and packaging and stuff like that. And she finally, we got in the hard copies, just came in the mail. But this was the cover that she ended up going with. See if that pops up right there. Just a simple, she had sort of this concept where she wanted to sort of be blowing letters towards the camera. So she brought a bunch of little magnetic poetry things that we put on the ground, and I photographed them flat down. And then she had a designer go in and Photoshop them up and stuff. And so that's the final cover. And then like I put together like a little sheet here. So this bottom right-hand corner, this was the shot that she sent me. And she was just like, oh, my designer just sent me the rough mock-ups for the album cover. And I saw that, and it didn't work. It wasn't working for me. And so I was just like, can I just take a couple of stabs? Like, let me just do some thumbnails really quick. And I whipped up a bunch of things that weren't so competitive with the image, like that bottom right corner image. It's just the text just not working. And it's fighting with the rest of the image. So I just did these little quick things where I was playing the album, and I just kind of whipped these things up and sent it over to her. And then she ended up liking this one here, only she didn't like the red. She wanted that white. But I thought these kind of had a better balance. Like this one, I like that one a lot too, but they had a better balance than this one. This one just didn't feel right. So I was kind of happy when she finally went with that. And then she also had a single that she was releasing prior to the album, and so I did the same thing where she had this not very good font. So I was just like, well, let me just play around, and I just kind of whipped these up in like 20 minutes, and then I just sent them over to her just to give her an idea of things that she can show the actual designer. Yeah, so
You live life on the edge there. You know, the photographer started going, yeah, I like what your designer did, but let me show you some other font treatments.
I get very,
Sid.
yeah.
No,
I get
seriously,
very,
man, I'm down with that.
I get really, if you show me like something I've photographed and it's got bad design, I'm gonna be like, you can't do that. You can't do that. Like you're not maximizing the image. Like you're wrecking it. You're stepping all over it.
it's-
some,
ooh, you-
sometimes they don't know, like, what?
This is such an interesting use of Comic Sans, but let's try something different, should we?
Yeah, yeah. And like sometimes they don't know.
No,
So
you're right.
I try to politely just kind of take it away from them a little bit. Like, I'm like, let me just give you a few things that you can then.
Which
send
one
over
did she end up going with?
So she ended up going with, let me bring this shot back up. So it's a slightly different version of this third one in the left column.
Okay.
I kind of liked, I found a couple of fonts that looked very typewriter like, that sort of went along with the font that they used for these magnetic poetry things.
Right.
And so I just sampled like a part of the red of the background, and I used that for the album title. And then I used her name in white, and she liked the layout and she liked the font, and she thought the font looked really good with the font of the little magnetic pieces.
Yep.
So at that point I was like, okay, that's a lot better than, what you showed me. Like it works better. It's more balanced. It's not fighting
What
with
she
the
showed
image.
you was the one in the lower right-hand corner?
Yeah, this bottom right-hand corner where the text is just columned, and it's just it didn't work.
No.
And then the other thing I suggested too is, in that initial shot, the designer just dropped the magnetic poetry in, but it was really flat because there was no depth. So I just went in on some of these and I just blurred some of them so that it looked like some of them were further away, and some of least she picked on that up on that really quick. She was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Like, it looks like it's kind of flying at you now. So yeah, sometimes I like to oversee, like in the past, like they've mentioned, oh, well, I have to send off the elements to the CD design place and everything. And whenever they say something like that, I'm always just like, let me take a stab. Like, I'd rather, spend 8 hours working on something, and maybe you like it, maybe you don't like it, but at least I had a chance to influence you with, so she ultimately, I think it looks good. It's really simple. We shot a bunch of stuff for here's she sent me the package design. So we shot some stuff that was out of focus, and I purposely told her, like, it was interesting when you look at the actual shoot, because a lot of the shoot, the elements were all out of focus. So I told her, I was like, okay, when you send these to the designer, make sure she understands that they're out of focus for a reason, and they're not like just, I'm a crappy photographer. But we wanted, like, the back images, she wanted something that was a little out of focus. And what I ended up doing was I have a little prism that I hold in front of the lens, and then I just rotate the prism, and it picks up all the refractions in the studio and the lights reflecting off of everything. And so she really responded well to that too, because she was like, oh, we could use all the soft focus parts. We can go in there and just drop all the song tracks and stuff down as a back cover. So yeah, so I don't know what I was trying to say, but that looked pretty good. So I was pretty happy with the way that ultimately all sort of came together.
Absolutely.
So physical copies finally came in, and she sent me about 5 or 6 of them, and then she made a poster out of one of the images for like gigs and stuff like that. So it was nice. It was nice after over a year of sort of having these floating around, that everything sort of finally came together, and she's getting ready to promote it, and she's going to be doing some concerts for it and stuff like that. So
that sort of dovetails with something that I'm always very aware of, and I'm always cautioning photographers from doing. And then sometimes you get with another couple of photographers, and somebody will mention a shot they just saw by fill in the blank, some photographer in a magazine, and they'll go, oh, how could she shoot that, man? That was terrible. And I go, wait, whoa. We don't have a clue what she shot. Well, all we see is what they picked and what they ran.
Yes. And another thing that I have to
rarely
sort of
get
strong arm.
Yep.
Yeah. And when I give clients images, I give them, like, I tell them, I'm like, you can't take these shots and then stick them on Instagram and throw gross filters all over them. And I don't want you screwing with anything, because that kicks me, that comes out and bites me in the ass. And I didn't even do any of that stuff. So I get very vocal when it comes to these. It's like, these are the final images. This is what you can use them for. Don't alter them.
Yep. Absolutely. All right. Anybody have anything else to share on Photo Talk Friday?
Yeah,
Sure.
let me
Yeah, Don.
toss one up here. You've seen it, Don, but I'm starting to do a set of different people, different professions, trying to represent them different ways. And I have, I have various feelings about this, and I just don't know. Does it land? Does it?
Yeah,
Is this
absolutely.
you know? And what would you tweak or do differently if do you think it needs to be reshot?
No,
I'm not sure what I think of what I did here.
no, it's got a good color palette. It's a humorous photograph. It's more about the humorousness and the subject matter than it is the technique of the photography. So the technique of photography looks fine to me. There's dimension in the picture. I think the
That's
only thing
hilarious.
what was
Thank
that?
you.
She said it's hilarious.
Yeah, I think it works. I think it works really well, and it's a shot that people aren't going to flip by.
I have one thought, and I don't know if you think it would work or not. What if you put the stethoscope around the dog's neck with the hanging down while the vet's holding the dog? If you did reshoot it,
I could try it because I'm sure that I'm pretty sure that the dog would stand for that. That's always a question, right?
it's like a total reversal where the doctor is now the patient and the dog has the stethoscope on.
That might even be funnier.
Maybe, but there's a
Yeah, I'm not saying it's good. I just didn't know.
in the world of comedy, if you go too far, I wouldn't change anything with it. I like it. I like it.
All right.
But yeah.
All right. Thank you.
I would probably say your background being gray, light gray, is for me. I would have chosen something a little bit darker. So if there's anything I would say is to, cut it out, make the background like 2 shades darker. Same warm gray, just a little darker. The reason is to get that cone to really pop out.
Yeah, and as I'm sort of refamiliarizing myself with selections and Photoshop, maybe in another week or so, I'll be better at that. I did a little bit of that to change the cone so it would stand out a little bit, but this is kind of the limit of my skills just yet.
Absolutely.
This kind of image is good for stock. I have a postcard that I kept for a really long time that was kind of it was a fun image, super simple. But I just did a portfolio review where I got images like this reviewed, and they mentioned detail. So like where her hair is sticking out below the cone, it probably would be better if that was cleaner and the cone just started from her neck. And then
I'd have to customize it, but I did think about that. What if there was no detail there? What if the cone just came to the top of the scrubs?
Yeah, because then there's a person there, and then it's just cleaner. My portfolio review, and that's actually what I needed, is I have a lot of like these distracting details, and for stock, it's got to be a lot cleaner. And this is a really great image for stock. Humorous ones they sell well.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for the feedback, everybody.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Very good. Who else?
Do you mind if I pop up one or two?
No, not at all. Please.
A couple of years ago, a friend of mine handed me a book on still life. And I had never really considered doing anything still life before. I was just out playing nature and stuff like that. And it was not about photography. It was about kind of what the masters did and the implications and what was secular, what was religion, and so on like that. But anyway, so I started kind of doing some stuff. I wouldn't mind sharing a bit of that if I can figure out how to do that.
Should be down in your little green thing at the bottom. It should say share screen.
Oh, share screen. There it is. Okay. So you can see my screen now?
Yes.
Yeah, these are like just a couple of things. Like this one here is one I was doing just for some kind of food stuff, and then another one, and I'm open to any kind of feedback and suggestions because I just don't get better if I don't hear from people. And then this was one that was kind of fun and I actually did pretty well in a local photo show. I've sold a couple copies of this guy actually. And that was from that still life book, except I figured Seth somebody wrote the book. It was written in the 60s. And he had a C-clamp with a bubble in it. And I didn't want to steal his idea, but I liked the concept. So I kind of came up with that. But,
I have that book. I can't remember his name. I have that book on my shelf with the C-clamp with the bubble.
Yeah, it was
I want to say
inspirational book I read. Yeah.
I want to say Al Satterwhite, maybe.
You mean as the photographer?
Yeah.
No, mine was Seth somebody.
Oh, yeah.
But and I don't know how to get out of what I'm in here. I wouldn't.
I can do it. Are you?
Yeah, I'm done. I just wanted to. It's just funny how people can just hand you something and it changes your kind of course and the way you think about things. And
Sure.
your classes have done that for me too. So I really appreciate it.
Well, I've always said if I was, the king of photography, and I'm well on my way to being that. But if I was the king of photography, I would start everybody out on the table. Everybody would start out on the table, natural light, scrims, and bounce cards. Because if you can light on the table, you can light anything else from landscape to people to fashion. Doesn't matter. It's all light. But when you learn to control it, where you can reach out and control it like that, then it's easier to control it when it's farther to reach out. When you're shooting like that lady that Sid shot, the musician, it's not on a table, it's bigger. But if she was only this tall, we could light her on the table. Sid could do the same thing with her on the table as he did there. That's why I would start out on the table. Always, always, always. I wish I had started out on the table. I started out in the field and it made the table harder when I finally got around to shooting on the table. Made it a little harder.
Yep. Yeah, it's a good way to do it. I mean, studios are just larger tables, like the stuff I shoot with my toys. I can incorporate that stuff into shooting real people because it's just a scale difference. It's
the photographer Parrish Kohanam in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of the photographers that sort of has ridden the fine art commercial knife blade, right on there. He'll be shooting for Pepsi and Coke on Tuesday, and on Wednesdays there's a gala opening of his work at the Atlanta Art Museum.
Mm-hmm.
Very tough place to be, but he's always done it. He started out as a product shooter and became a fashion shooter, and he grew his business based on that. I don't know if you've ever seen the ballet dancers on the big balls, great big giant ball. That's Parrish Kohanam.
Okay.
Yeah. But everything he does is based on what he learned to do on the table. So neat stuff. Who else? Anybody? Well, all right then. I want everybody to have a great weekend. Go out and make some photographs. Don't get mugged, please. That would just take all the fun out of it.
It's tragic.
And share your stuff with us next week. Sid, stay warm, my friend.
Mm-hmm. I'll be digging out of snow all next week. So think of me while you're kicking back, eating all kinds of tasty tacos in your nice warm weather.
It's going to dip down into the high 60s here tomorrow. It's crappy as hell.
Oh, my heart is breaking.
Plus, I've heard that blue sky is damaging for your psyche. I am a victim. No, I'm a survivor.
It's exactly right. Yeah, I'll think of you when I go out to these whiteout conditions and I've got snow blindness.
It could be worse.
Yeah. Oh, poor Don's looking at blue skies. Oh, geez. Oh.
Yeah.
Now I feel bad for complaining because when we got here, it was cold. I got rid of all my sweats and sweaters.
Yeah.
And it probably was low 60s, maybe high 50s, but I was like freezing.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Virginia's just like, oh, look at this beautiful, just
But
sunny
it rains a lot.
Hawaiian tropic. Like, just look out my window.
It's raining season. We actually had hail. I was really shocked that it's like Hawaii has hail. But you know.
How fun.
I'm
All right, guys.
grateful not to dig out. Bye.
All right. Have a good week, everybody. Be
All right,
safe.
take care now.
Bye, everybody.
everybody.